So the Sacramento Kings appear to hold all the cards for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers, if Sacramento beats the Golden State Warriors, then the Lakers would have the chance to get into the 6th seed if they win outright. Now, the Warriors do have another game against Portland on the road. Who knows? Portland did beat Minnesota in Minnesota, so there's always that possibility. And even if Sacramento does sit everybody, there is always a chance that Sacramento guys show up and get the win, right? That is always a real possibility, especially with the Warriors and how bad they've been on the road. They've been atrocious, right? I mean, they are literally one of the worst teams in the league on the road. The only teams that are worse are teams that are purposely tanking for Victor Wembanyama. But it just sucks that the Lakers don't have control. Regardless, the Lakers still need to do their job. They need to do their part. And for the Kings, it really boils down to, like, what would you rather prefer, right? Because the Kings can basically decide and dictate, do we want to play the defending champs or do we want to play the Lakers, the new look Lakers? And, I mean, if you're Sacramento, wouldn't you rather play the Lakers? Now, look, I'm somebody that has full, undoubted belief in this Lakers team. I believe the Lakers can beat the Sacramento Kings. I believe they can make a real run, and I would not be surprised at all if they won an NBA championship. The difference, though, is that's just my belief as a Laker fan, and I'm sure many of you feel the same sentiment. But the reality is the Lakers are unproven, right? This Lakers team hasn't been to the playoffs together to see how are we going to play, how are we going to perform, are we going to be any good? The Warriors just won an NBA championship with this same roster. They are tried, true, and proven. They have all the experience in the world. They're likely going to have Andrew Wiggins back, which will change things, although they weren't great with Andrew Wiggins earlier in the season. But there's also a big difference between the regular season and the playoffs, right? So if you're Sacramento, do you feel more confident playing the defending champion Warriors who are proven, or the Lakers who there's still a lot of question marks, including health, right? Like, can AD stay healthy? Can LeBron stay healthy? Is this team going to mesh well and go? That is definitely a factor. Now, Sacramento could also be looking at it as, like, it doesn't really matter regardless. Like, you know, we'll take either team, but we just want our guys healthy. That could be one way to look at it. Or they just look at it as like, hey, we could play all our guys and still lose to the Warriors. And then it was like we played our guys for no reason. Could be another way to look at it. They also could be waiting to see what is going to happen with Memphis, right? So the Kings still have an opportunity to get the 2 seed, but they need Memphis to lose both games, and they have to win both games. Now, right now, based on the lines in Vegas and all that stuff, it looks like Sacramento's going to rest everybody. But Sacramento did have everybody in shoot-around. So everybody played in shoot-around. Everyone got their sweat in and their workout and all that stuff. So it is very possible that the Kings maybe even just play, say, the first half. But I think it's going to boil down to what is going on in that Memphis and Bucks game, right? So the Bucks are sitting essentially everybody, but Grizzlies are only a -8 right now. So that's worth noting. And when it comes to Milwaukee, they've been good and have beaten some quality teams, even without Giannis and Middleton and stuff like that. So it is possible that, say, at halftime, the Grizzlies are down 10, then Sacramento could say, okay, well, let's play our guys at least the first half and see how that Grizzlies game plays out. Because the Grizzlies game is at 5 p.m. and the Kings game is at 7. So by the time the Kings game starts, they should be through the first half in that Bucks game. A lot of these guys could be game time decisions. Now, if the Grizzlies are up 20 at halftime, then very likely they're going to sit everybody. But if it's even a tight game, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't hold my breath and you know, count on them doing that. But it is a real possibility. Regardless, we're going to have to wait for the Kevin Durant, LeBron James matchup. The Phoenix Suns have confirmed that they are sitting everybody. There was questions, are they going to play them for the first half? Monty Williams said, we may take a look at them for the first half. Phoenix Suns yesterday locked up the 4th seed. All of their guys played heavy minutes, although it was to just get reps. And that was kind of one of the things that the Suns were thinking about too, is like, hey, we need to get reps with these guys so that way they have a full understanding and start building that chemistry going into the playoffs. Suns are still undefeated with Kevin Durant. Granted, if you look at the teams and the lineups and the guys that they have played, they should be undefeated with Kevin Durant. But regardless, it looks like we're going to have to wait till maybe a playoff matchup or next year before we see LeBron James and Kevin Durant. Still, it's something that the Lakers need to get done, right? The bench guys, all the guys that usually don't play are going to play today, and they're going to want to ball out, right? They're going to want to show that they're real NBA players. They're going to want to play their best game. And the Lakers should be able to handle business. We're fully healthy now, as healthy as we'll be, right? And so this should be a game that we don't have to play LeBron and AD heavy minutes. I'd like to see them establish early, get control early, and then just kind of coast the rest of the game rather than in the Utah game, which people bring up. But if you watch that Utah game, the Lakers were just coasting. The Lakers were a team that were like, we can beat them at any point. And I mean, they did win the game, and they were up 10 with like a minute and 40 seconds left, but they just, instead of handling business, they just completely took their foot off the gas, and all of a sudden it was like, uh-oh. And it didn't help that Kelly Olynyk hit some like miracle bank shot. But regardless, right? Lakers, I would like to see them, instead of coasting the whole game, come out with some urgency, establish some dominance, be up 20 or whatever at halftime. And then the second half, you have that cushion to kind of weather the storm, right? And, win by 7 or whatever. Who cares, right? As long as you win the game. And then the same thing in Utah. You're going to have Utah. They're officially eliminated from the play-in. Go in there, do your job, handle business, win these last 2 games. Because then at bare minimum, you at least end up in the 7th seed. And if you end up in the 7th seed, now you're very likely going to play the Pelicans. Although there is a real chance that it comes down to that Pelicans-Timberwolves game. So the Timberwolves and the Pelicans play each other for the last game of the season, and that very well could decide who ends up in the A seed. Personally, I would rather play the Pelicans. I want all the smoke with either team. I'm not worried about either team. I think the Lakers can beat either team. We have beaten either team, right? But I just think that the Timberwolves match up a lot better to us than the Pelicans do, and Zion has been ruled out for the play-in. So that's good. In a perfect world, right? The Pelicans beat the Knicks, and not only do they beat the Knicks, they end up beating the Timberwolves. Timberwolves in Utah or Timberwolves in the Thunder have to duke it out, and then we play the Pelicans at home. The beauty is regardless, if we handle business and we win our last 2 games, we would have home court throughout the play-in, which means we wouldn't have to leave LA until the first round of the playoffs, right? Where we would play whoever, right? Whether it's Denver, Grizzlies, or Sacramento. Even if we get the 6th seed, we don't have to leave LA until the Grizzlies game. So that is good. That gives us some confidence. That allows guys to get some rest, right? Because it's much easier to rest at home where you have your trainers, your dietitians, your people, your everything, right? You're sleeping in your bed, right? You don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to drive 2 hours. Like you can just wake up, get to where you need to get. You understand your route. You know what you need to do, right? It's just a better result regardless. But ideally, I would like to play the Pelicans in that matchup. I think we just match up so much better. Anthony Davis loves to dominate the Pelicans. Anthony Davis loves to show up against the Pelicans and just really kind of put on his best performance, and I expect him to do that. You got to win that first play-in game regardless. Whoever it is, whether it's Minnesota or it's the Pelicans, whichever team it is, you have to win. You have to win that game, because if you don't, now you don't get any rest, because now you got to play the second game, and you got to win that game. Not only do you have to win that game, because if you don't, you're out of the playoffs entirely, but if you win that game, now you immediately, a day later, a day and a half later, have to go into a Denver matchup, which, again, I think we can beat Denver, but you're exhausted. You've played 2 extra games. You got 0 rest. It's not good if you're the Lakers. Where if you can win that first play-in game, good. Now you get like 2 or 3 days rest, and then you end up having the matchup, which just at least it gives you some rest. That's ideal. That's what you want, especially going against the Grizzlies or whomever. But regardless, get into the playoffs. Trust LeBron. Trust AD. Trust them to do their part, get the job done. Trust them to lead this team and go on a deep playoff run. Look, this team is still unbeaten in the playoffs when both of them are healthy. Like, the Phoenix Suns, we were playing them. We were up 2-1. It looked like we were about to go up 3-1. They had no answer for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis was dominating them. LeBron James was making Jay Crowder look like his son. It was a nightmare for the Phoenix Suns. And then Anthony Davis went down and everything changed. Dennis Schroeder wasn't the same since he got COVID. Guys just, we didn't have enough talent and guys stepping up without AD. And we ended up losing that series. So it's understandable. I get it. There's concern. But this team, when Anthony Davis is playing to his level, it's best player in the world level. And then you have LeBron James, which is playoff LeBron, which we know he can still get to. If you watched that Clippers game, that was about as close to prime playoff LeBron as possible. He scored 30 points in the second half, and Kawhi Leonard was guarding him, and he was guarding Kawhi Leonard, locking Kawhi up. So you saw him on both sides of the ball absolutely dominating. We get that in a playoff series with Anthony Davis that we know the level that he can play. I don't see anybody beating us in a 7-game series. I could see a couple series getting tough. I could see a couple series maybe going 6, maybe even 7. But I will take my chances with LeBron James and Anthony Davis if they can stay healthy. Health is probably the biggest question mark and biggest concern. But I trust this team. Get through the play-in. Ideally, if you can get to the playoffs, we need to root for the Kings. And again, the Warriors could still lose. The Warriors have lost to some very bad teams on the road this season. So just because the Kings sit everybody or sit their core guys doesn't mean that they don't have enough guys and enough talent to still beat the Warriors. The Warriors just completely disappear on the road. And Portland, they still have to beat Portland. Like, we're all kind of, myself included, we're all kind of just writing off Portland, but they do have some notable wins, and they packed it in a while ago, right? And they've been competitive, and they've been really good. So they very well could just say, hey, let's go try to beat the Warriors and win our season strong. Be a real possibility. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think the Kings play their guys? Do you think they don't? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.